Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Voices podcast, the podcast of Golden Valley Health Centers. I'm David Quackenbush, the president and CEO of Golden Valley and the host of the podcast. And today I have the pleasure to be with, what can I call her? The legacy, the historian. Melinda Marshall has played numerous roles that you will hear about today. But she also keeps us honest with the history of Golden Valley and keeps us focused on our mission. So Melinda Marshall is our Chief Operations Officer. Thank you for joining, Melinda.
Thank you for having me, David.
This is probably overdue. I probably should have had you as the first guest since you are the legacy. As you know, because you've seen some of your colleagues on the podcast, really, we just like to talk about journeys and stories of our folks here at Golden Valley. And you have a lengthy one of Golden Valley, which I think it speaks to a lot of things. I mean, I think it speaks to you personally and your perseverance, but I also think it speaks to the history of Golden Valley and the opportunities that some of the younger generation have at Golden Valley, which, you're always encouraging folks that come into our organization. So why don't we just start? Let's start with the beginning of your journey at Golden Valley. And can you talk a little bit about why you originally came here and what was the first job that you had here?
Absolutely. So the reason I came here is a little different from others' story. I actually was new to the Valley. I moved out here to join my pastor who was here in Merced. And I was simply looking for a job. And it was between two opportunities. And something really urged me to select to work for Golden Valley Health Center, at the time, Childs Avenue Clinic. So I'm dating myself. But just going back then, I started as a patient service rep. The organization was a very small organization to where the CEO actually gave me the second interview. So very interesting. I did not know anything about Golden Valley Health Center, but what really caught my attention or really attracted me was the very first migrant camp visit, to go out and take care of the patients out there, meeting them where they were. They didn't have to come into the clinic. That was a very interesting experience, but it was one that really intrigued me. It touched me, and just knowing that a physician who volunteered their time and other staff who was out there volunteering their time. And it was, in a sense, something that I grew up doing, just in a different way. As I mentioned, growing up as a pastor's kid, you had to help your community. That was a part of who you were in the family. And I come from a large family, so we always had to help each other as well. So that is how I started at Golden Valley Health Center as a patient service rep, being drawn here by having to move to the Central Valley. I'm not bilingual. And of course, the larger population here speaks Spanish. And so I wanted to work in a department that did not require me to have to use my poor Spanish that I learned, and the little bit of Spanish that I acquired. So I transitioned to the billing department, worked there for a year and a half, and was actually asked to go back to the clinic setting as a supervisor. That kind of made me a little nervous. A lot of the staff that was still there had started previous before me, but they encouraged me. They actually found out about the ask, and they encouraged me to come back. They said, "We really respect you. We feel you'll be a great leader. Please come back." So I did. I enjoy working with the patients. I tell the story about a patient that I met even back then, and I see that patient to this day every once in a while when I visit the clinic. She does not speak English. I don't speak Spanish, but we have 5 minute or so conversations and it ends with a hug and a smile. And so those type things really just confirm why I'm here and that I am in the right place doing the right job.
Those connections, we see it, and those connections kind of come very quickly with us and patients or us and staff, and those are long lasting relationships. It's always very interesting when I have these conversations, and you and I have talked about this a little bit. So Golden Valley is a private nonprofit community health center. We are not affiliated with any specific religion or any specific denomination, but we always find ourselves in these conversations about spirituality. We are as culturally diverse as we are religious diverse. We have about 1,500 staff from literally all over the world that come from different cultures, different ethnicities, and have practiced different religions or haven't practiced religion, but have been spiritual for whatever that means to them. And we always find ourselves in the spiritual connection to the work that we do. That brought you to the Valley following your pastor, which is a whole different level of calling to actually move your residents to follow a pastor. But there's always that spiritual connection. We always see it. We always talk about it. We celebrate it, but it's always very interesting because it's kind of a theme that runs through the organization. I don't want to date you, but I want to appreciate you. Are you now, what is it, your 38th year, your 39th year? How did the years go by fast? Which year are you
Yes,
now in?
it does go fast, 38 years. And you mentioned about the diversity coming here. One of the things I really love as well, there's so many things I love about Golden Valley Health Center, but I learned so much about the different cultures, like meeting all the different, people with different backgrounds and come from different countries even. Oh my goodness, that was just amazing to learn all the different things about the different cultures. But we always find that we end up here for one reason, and that's to help people who need our help.
And it's true. And it's really whether you and I are non-clinical staff, and the doctors that come here want to, be hands-on with patients. That's something that I could never do. But all of us, and really any level of the organization, you could talk to a front desk staff or a biller or whoever. They all are here because of the people we serve.
Yes.
And it's interesting just to call back your reference about the Child's Avenue Clinic. Melinda mentions the Child's Avenue Clinic, which is now what we characterize as our campus, which is 6 buildings and every service we could possibly provide to patients. And that was one of the original sites. And the 38 years that you've been here, it's very hard to describe the growth. We
Yes.
now have 1,500 staff, and we provide almost 800,000 patient visits a year, and you've kind of bear witness to a lot of that. So
Yes.
what do you have? Just how would you explain that? How would you describe that? And how has that been for you? Just seeing the growth since you've been here.
Actually, this is why my job is never boring because it seems like I've worked in a different organization over the many different years, just working at the different capacity, and then the evolvement of other health services that we provide, other things that we do, whether it's getting out into the community or bringing something within our four walls. So it is amazing to see the growth, and when you sit back and especially look at it on a map, and we're spread out across 3 different counties. It's amazing. It's amazing. Sometimes you need to sit back and look at the journey. I actually have a history book that was put together probably about 15 years ago or so, and even just looking at that from the beginning to, I think that was 2012 that it starts in 1972. Just looking at the growth within that amount of time is just amazing. And then from then until now, it's just, we need to capture all this history. Yes, I am a historian, but we need to make sure we capture all of this history because it's amazing work, that we do. And we often feel like we're not doing enough because there's just more demand always than access. But we are doing an amazing job. We're doing a lot. And just all these new innovative things that's coming along as well. It's just amazing.
We do rely on you a bit to remind us of the history because, we're always trying to do more. We're always trying to add things. We're always, but we do so much. So it's very important to remind folks of everything we do because we provide a tremendous amount of service, a variety of services to thousands and thousands of patients a month, really each day. Let's talk a little bit more about your journey because, I think now being on the executive team, which is only 8 of us, and being a leader, you take pride in that leadership and you take pride in kind of touching and impacting other staff and encouraging other staff to continue to grow. So you started as a patient service rep. Can you explain the journey to the audience, like all of the variety of jobs that you've had in your 38 years? Because I think part of it is
Yes.
there's career opportunities in healthcare. I don't think people really realize how big community health centers are around the country. There's career
Right.
opportunities within health centers, and I think what you've achieved and the education and the training and the you know really important role you have now as an inspiration. So can you kind of just tell the
Yeah.
audience the journey you've been on personally?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, patient service rep is that for a year and a half, worked in our wonderful billing department. That was a great learning experience. I've never worked in a billing department. I've done that for a year and a half. And as mentioned, was asked to move back over into the clinical realm and work as a supervisor. So then we were front office supervisors. So we only oversaw the front office operations. As we continued to grow and expand our clinics, I moved into what we call a site administrative role. And that role, the way I started in that role was assisting and learning how to open up new clinics. So that's when we opened up in Ceres and Turlock. Also worked at different locations as a supervisor when we didn't have, when we were short or in between supervisors. I went and covered. I probably worked at that time, all of Golden Valley Health Center clinics at some capacity, mostly as a supervisor or a center manager. I was asked to come back to Merced. Merced started really growing. The services started growing a lot. I was asked to come back to Merced as a clinic supervisor. So then we oversaw front and back office. We transitioned into center managers roles. Then I worked as a director of operations, which we had regions. We divided the organization into 3 regions. We were spread out so much. I think during COVID, at some point, I was the only director. So I had all 3 regions. That was a wonderful, challenging experience. It was just really putting out fires and pivoting from moment to moment because we didn't know what to expect during that time. But it was still a learning experience. And then other directors came along and joined. We were able to divide into 3 regions again. And then after working as a director, probably for about 7, 8 years, I transitioned to the chief operations officer role. I am still learning, always will be. I always say I'm a leader in training. And that's something that everyone should do. Just never get to the point where you feel you know it all. Just always be one that's open-minded and willing to learn.
Yeah, that's really good advice because I'm learning every day too, and the system around us is changing so dramatically too.
Yes.
What do you think has been, I mean, because part of it is Golden Valley we're a regional healthcare system for the Medi-Cal population, is like I like to characterize it, which is low income, ethnically diverse, and we provide healthcare to these individuals that a lot of folks don't provide care to. What do you think, and you might have said this already, but what do you think has been your biggest challenge, and what do you think you learned throughout your years and throughout your different positions?
The biggest challenge really is creating or helping create more access. That has been the biggest challenge. And then staffing, of course, has been the biggest challenge, always making sure that, you have adequate staff to support, the operations of the business. And you probably just asked for one thing, but, there are many challenges in healthcare, and even creating a system or working with people to create a system that helps others be able to navigate through the system. I've had a dear friend that had passed away of breast cancer at a very young age. And you never know what could be different that would have saved that person. Was it preventative care? Was it just not being able to navigate through a system? Was it not enough marketing out there? So all of these things always stay with me, and I'm always trying to stay on top of what's new and innovative, and what is it that we can do to really remove these barriers or help eliminate these barriers. So definitely, access to care and being able to navigate through the complicated system that we're not the ones that always make it complicated for ourselves.
For us, it's just more, right? I mean, we've always done a good job of taking care of individuals, especially our patient population. But the patient population and the need has just grown.
Yes.
I think it's always been relatively the same. Like our patients tend to have similar issues, just like any other, low income population that has limited access to healthcare. So I think the issues and the challenges have been there, but now it's just more. There's just more
Yes.
people, there's more patients, there's more demand. And you
Yes.
mentioned it a little bit, there's less workforce. But the workforce coming into healthcare has changed. But because you've been in it so long and because you supervise and mentor so many folks, because you mentor staff that aren't even your people that report to you. Because,
Yes.
as you go out to different clinic sites, you're always, chatting people up and checking in, and you've always done a great job of that. What would you advise individuals that are thinking about a healthcare career? What advice would you give them coming into healthcare, and what would you tell them about working at a community health center like Golden Valley and working with patients like we do?
Absolutely. When I even talk to like our new hires, or I'm out there talking to other people, first and foremost is, what is your passion? This definitely has to be your passion. Helping people, um, volunteering, dealing with a lot of changes that come down is not for everybody. But if we understand what our passion is, and do self reflections, and that is super important, to really self reflect. Um, so aligning with the mission of the organization. We have mission, we have our vision, we have our values, and it's not something that we just want on paper. And I always tell people, look to see what the mission, vision, and values of that organization. Do your self reflection. Understand what your mission is, what your vision is, what your value is, what your goals are you want to set in life, and make sure they align. Whether this is just a stepping stone, or this is it for you, and you'll be able to work the path, to your goal. Just make sure you're always self-reflecting, you're true to what your mission is, it aligns. Always stay in a learning mode as well. Always stay in a learning mode.
Great points there. Thank you for kind of summarizing that. I was going to leave it there, but you triggered another question in me about learning mode. So you've been here 38 years. You've almost had every job. You've learned a lot. You continue to learn. We continue to grow. We continue to do new things. We continue to figure out how to sustain what we're currently doing. What are you interested in continuing to learn? Or what do you think you still need to figure out as you continue your career at Golden Valley?
Surprisingly, this was we've done the advocacy program here, and people were surprised that I've joined the advocacy program. And, advocating, yeah, those things can come natural, but it's great to also learn to make sure that you're doing it the correct way. And what are some of the rules and the ways that you do these things? So learning how to advocate, learning all the new technology. I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about providing different avenues for patients who not everybody want to talk to a robot. So make sure you still have ways that they can reach a human. There are some people who are tech savvy, and that's what they want to use. So make sure you have the technology. So there's different avenues that we're trying to meet all the patients' needs in the way that they want to communicate or call in or be seen. And that's forever evolving. David, as you mentioned, as these different generations come and they want to do things differently, just always learning how to evolve with the different age groups, I guess you can say.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. We have staff that have been with us for a long time. We have staff that are brand new to us, and the same with patients. We have brand new patients every month, and we have patients that have been
Yes,
with us generationally. We take care of great grandparents all the way to new babies. So that's a great reminder. So thank you for
absolutely.
joining us, Melinda. I appreciate it. It's long overdue. The legacy and history you bring with us, we all respect, and we appreciate your time on the Golden Voices podcast.
Well, thank you again for having me. I really enjoyed being here.
Thank you.